On Friday, we lost Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. May her memory be a blessing. Now, clearly, to no one's surprise, the hypocrites in the Senate acted like rabid hyenas, salivating at the idea immediately that they get to replace her, and that Trump will get to replace her, and that they're going to hold a vote. Despite the fact that 4 years prior, they said the exact opposite. Now, I think we do ourselves a disservice by focusing on that and trying to change their minds. Those hypocrites were always going to be hypocrites. We were fools if we believed otherwise. I didn't believe that they were going to stay true to their word, given a similar situation with a Republican president. No way. So does that mean we don't look at the hypocrisy? No, absolutely not. We look at the hypocrisy, we expose the hypocrisy, we run those videos on a constant loop. We use that to help elect people like Jamie Harrison and to knock out Lindsey Graham. We use that to make this blue tsunami even bigger. We absolutely use it. And maybe we try and convince the 4 that could be convinced to vote no, and tell them, look, just say you're going to vote no on anybody, but draw a line in the sand. Say, you said this 4 years ago, we're holding you to your word from 4 years ago. Romney, Grassley, Murkowski, Collins. Now, Murkowski and Collins have said that they don't think that a vote should happen, but that doesn't mean that they would vote no on the vote. Collins is in a very difficult situation at this moment because if she votes to confirm, then she probably loses her Senate seat because it's going to bring out people in Maine who were pissed off that she voted to confirm. If she doesn't vote to confirm, she's going to piss off a bunch of conservatives in her state who are not going to come out and vote for her. So I think she may very well lose her seat because of this, regardless of what happens, as long as they try and push this vote through. I think she loses her seat. But I don't think we can rely on all 4 of them. We might be able to get 1, 2, or 3, but we need 4, no less. And I don't think we can get there. Now, if they can't do the vote till after November, then it is very possible that we only need 3 at that point, because the Arizona race is being held, and if Kelly wins, he gets to go up immediately. He doesn't have to wait till January. So there's that. But it's a very thin hope to hope on. So again, play those hypocrisy tapes on an infinite loop. Make sure that everybody can see and shaming them for their hypocrisy. But we have to be ready for the fact that most likely, in my opinion, I've been saying for a while now, Amy Coney Barrett, and now that name has been stated in the news, and I think I may very well be proven right in my concern that Amy Coney Barrett could be the person who gets picked. And if she is, and we can't get those 4, or 3 if it's after November 30th, we can't get those people, then we're going to have to there's nothing else that we can do to stop her from being named to the Supreme Court. It's it. There's nothing we can do. So what, do we give up and go home? No. That means we have to fight harder on election day, until election day. We need to make sure that everybody gets out. Early vote if you can. Vote on election day. Vote by mail if you can. But I'm really thinking that Donald Trump's going to fight a lot of these mail-in ballots. And as such, I think we need to take that risk and go vote in person. So, and look, I don't have a problem with mail-in voting, but I think Donald Trump is going to make a really hard effort to go after mail-in votes in blue states. He's not going to do it in red states. He's going to be happy with as many Republicans mail-in voting as possible, and he won't fight them. But he will fight the Democrats, absolutely. So what we need to do is we need to elect Joe Biden president, and we need to flip Senate blue, and then we can pack the courts. So hopefully you've heard this already, but the Supreme Court size is not set in the Constitution. Congress sets the size of the Supreme Court. So they can add any number of seats to the court that they so deem as necessary. And if everybody agrees, president signs off on it, boom, now the president gets to name more people to the Supreme Court, and the Senate can confirm. And, well, now that the filibuster's dead, all we need is 51. or need 50 and Harris, and you get the more seats. So how many seats? That's the big question. How many seats do we go for? There are people who are saying that we need 2 more. Go for 11. No, that's not enough, because you have, there was one, the conservative seat that Trump got to replace, because they stole it from Obama. There's Kennedy. Somehow Trump convinced Kennedy to resign so he can name somebody else. And now Ginsburg, who is the liberal judge, or a liberal judge, and again, he's going to replace it with somebody conservative. So on some rulings, Roberts did side with the liberal side on the case of the Louisiana abortion law, even though it was very similar to the Texas abortion law that required admitting privileges. So Roberts had no problem with the Texas law and admitting privileges, and he voted to uphold it, but that failed. So now that it came around, and I said this on the podcast, and I predicted this too, and it was right, that now that it's the settled law under Roberts, what he was talked about back in 2005 when he was being confirmed for Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, now that it's settled law, guess what? Roberts said that he would uphold stare decisis. I predicted that that's very well likely what he could do, and he did it. He then voted to overturn the Louisiana law because it was basically a carbon copy of the Texas law, and the Supreme Court had already overturned the Texas law, so Roberts kept Supreme Court precedent. So maybe on cases like Roe v. Wade, on cases like Casey versus Planned Parenthood, Obergefell v. Hodges, cases where it's established Supreme Court rulings, I think you can probably trust Roberts to, most of the time, side with existing precedent, which for those laws you would only need 2. You'd only need 2 more justices, because there's 4, it's 5-4, you would then need it to be 6-5. However, because Roberts voted to uphold the Texas law, if there are new precedents that need to be made, Roberts could very well side with the conservatives, at which point you would see 6-5 on attempts to chip away at things like abortion rights, gay rights, stuff like that. If he can deem it that it's a new precedent, then he may very well side with the conservative side. This is why you need 13. So, do you push for 13? No. You push for 15. Because too many times Democrats have tried to start where they want to be, and then they negotiate backwards from there to get something that's not as good as they could have gotten. Where if they would have started a little further out from where they wanted to be, you then negotiate back to where you want to be. It's like if I'm going to go for a job, and if I'm willing to accept $100,000 a year for my salary, that's what I will accept. I don't start at 100. Start at 110. Now, if I'm starting at 110 and they're starting at 60, we're likely not going to find a middle ground that's going to be suitable. Because I would probably look at that 60 and say that's too low, assuming that I think $100,000 is what I should be making in a year. So now, if I start at 200,000, they're going to be like, crazy. So you don't start at 25 Supreme Court justices. You don't start at 19. 15 might seem to some people to be a little bit too much. Maybe. Other people would probably say it's enough. But you're starting at 15 not to end at 15. You're starting at 15 to negotiate your way back to 13. And if you really wanted to be at 11, you wouldn't start at 11, you'd start at 13. But again, 11 is not enough justices to undo the harm that Trump has done to the court. But all of this, in order to get this done, you need to go vote. You need to flip the Senate blue. You need to make sure that Joe Biden gets elected. So if you're living in a state that matters in the Electoral College, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, hell, maybe even Georgia. Who knows? Who knows what this is going to do? The attempts to push through a Supreme Court nominee in a hypocritical way could backfire on them extremely and may make more states winnable. So if you're in those states and you've been hemming and hawing because you don't like Joe Biden, you don't think Joe Biden is the person who represents you, maybe you're very progressive, maybe you were a Bernie supporter, maybe you just don't like either parties or think both parties are the same, well, guess what? The most important thing back in 2016 was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I was saying that back then. And now the most important thing is to undo the harm that Donald Trump has done and will continue to do to the Supreme Court while he's still president. And we need to make sure that he's president for a very short amount of time. So get out there, go vote, vote blue no matter who, wear masks, and stay socially distant too. Make sure to do everything. Go vote and vote safely. You can do it. I've seen the lines of people where they were masked and they are maintaining social distancing. That was all very good, and I'm very happy that people got a fire under the butts to go out and start early voting in the states that already have early voting on Saturday in honor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That was great. So again, if you see the link below, patreon.com/liberaldan. If you support the podcast, you want to help me expand the podcast, do more videos. All I really need is like 1,000 people to donate $10 a month. If you contributed to $10 a month level, I'd be able to do this full time. I could focus on all this. I could really, get some good content out before the election and beyond. And I really, really would love to have your help to do that. Also, please remember to subscribe to the channel because, again, 1,000 YouTube subscribers is when you can start monetizing your channel as well. And there's also @LiberalDanRadio on Twitter, Facebook.com/LiberalDan. Today is the first day of the TikTok ban, but if you already have TikTok, I'm @LiberalDanRadio on TikTok. And there's plenty of other places to go to Liberal Dan. You can find all the places on social media that you can find me and support me as well. So, again, thank you very much, and have a good night.